For women across India today, it's been an eventful day in every sense of the word. While a union minister of the country facing sexual harassment allegations stepped down, a temple in southern India opened its gates for women of all ages for the first time in 400 years. But women could not enter. Let's focus on the first development for now. The biggest casualty of the Me Too movement in India, Junior Minister of External Affairs MJ Akbar has resigned from his post. In a statement, MJ Akbar said, and I'm quoting, "I deem it appropriate to step down from office and challenge the false accusations levied against me. I have decided to seek justice in the court of law." MJ Akbar, remember, filed a defamation case against the journalist who accused him of sexual harassment. A battery of 97 lawyers, I repeat, 97 lawyers are representing him in court. Several journalists who worked with him in leading newspapers have accused him of inappropriate behavior. Priya Ramani, one of the first journalists to come out and accuse Akbar of sexual misconduct, tweeted minutes after his resignation, and I'm quoting from her tweet, "As women, we feel vindicated by MJ Akbar's resignation. I look forward to the day when I will also get justice in court." And we also spoke with Ghazala Wahib, senior journalist and also one of the journalists who spoke out against MJ Akbar. Here's an excerpt from that conversation.
You know, the primary objective of this Me Too campaign worldwide and including in India was to demand safe work environment for women. This is what we set out to do, and we hope that at least some beginning has been made in this direction. Now, whether you're talking of specifics like male gaze and patriarchy and, other things, they're all part of that, because all of them impinges on safe work environment. So if we are talking of an environment where women can feel confident, secure while they're working, earning a living, making a career for themselves, it's fine.
The chairperson of the Delhi Women's Commission also took to Twitter and lauded the courage of the women who spoke out. Swati Maliwal said, and I'm quoting, "Finally, MJ Akbar has resigned. Shame on him for having delayed it for so long. The credit for the resignation goes not to the centre or MJ Akbar, but directly to the Me Too campaign, especially to those brave women who reported the assault and those women and men who stood by them." Remember, MJ Akbar was on a tour to Africa when the allegations against him surfaced. Upon his return to India, MJ Akbar brazened it out and responded to the allegations against him by filing a criminal defamation case. This is the biggest casualty of the Me Too movement in India, as Junior Minister of External Affairs in the country, MJ Akbar, has stepped down, facing in the wake of multiple sexual harassment allegations against him. But in that statement, he continues to brazen it out, saying and calling the allegations false, saying that he will challenge each of those allegations in the court of law. Remember, a criminal defamation case was filed by him against the journalist who came out and accused him of sexual harassment. Priya Ramani was one of the first journalists who came out and spoke out against MJ Akbar, calling it a great vindication for women across India, for the Me Too movement in India, but also saying that the battle still remains as far as the legal challenges are concerned. Remember, MJ Akbar had filed a criminal defamation case against Priya Ramani, who had accused the former minister of sexual harassment. Meanwhile, it's been a tense day in India's southern state of Kerala as a temple turned into a battleground. The Sabrimala shrine has been the epicenter of heated clashes all day today. Women have been heckled, dragged and attacked. Reporters attacked for doing their job. The clashes erupted over women of menstrual age entering for the first time in centuries. The Supreme Court of India, remember, paved the way for the entry of women of all ages to that shrine in Kerala, but traditionalists blocked the way for reform. The shrine opened its gates to women of menstruating age for the first time today after the Supreme Court verdict last month, but no woman was allowed to enter the premises. The gates were reopened at 5:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, but hours before that, massive protests were witnessed in the temple town. Women of menstruating age were sent back from the base camp. Female journalists were heckled and attacked, and security was beefed up around the temple area. Devotees of Lord Ayyappa continued to vigilantly check vehicles for women between the age groups of 10 to 50 at Nilakal, the main gateway to the Sabrimala shrine, and requested them to turn away. The body that administers the shrine also held a meeting on the matter with all the stakeholders. The board decided to take a call on the review petition on the 19th of October. Meanwhile, the state's chief minister has said the government will not allow anyone to take law and order into their own hands, but quite in contrast to the scenes that were witnessed all day today. As protests escalated in the temple town, a Kerala minister also raised doubts over who these protesters really were, hinting at the fact that those indulging in violence around the shrine are not devotees, but propped up by political motives.
Yes, I can predict what is going on there. I think it is intentional. It is dirty politics they are playing. We can't say they are actual devotees, because in front of God there is no discrimination for women and men. If a woman wants to go to the God and she wants to give their prayers there, she can get relief from their mental tension and other things. If she wants to do so, why they are denying that? Supreme Court order is a very good order, we can say like that. It is constitutional. Our constitutional rights should have to be protected. Government is bounded to implement that Supreme Court verdict, Supreme Court order.
Our correspondent Siddharth has been stationed at the base camp leading up to the Sabrimala shrine all day, has been sending us the latest file. This report for us on how it's a failure at many levels when the implementation of the top court's order was not carried through today. Take a look at this report that he filed.
The Sabrimala shrine in Kerala was opened for devotees today for the first time after the Supreme Court of India announced on the 28th of September that women between the age 10 and 50 could set foot inside the temple and offer their prayers. Well, today has been a day of a lot of activity and a lot of violence in and around Sabrimala. There were protests and several thousands of devotees had gathered in and around Sabrimala at places like Nilakal and Pamba. They had also searched the vehicles that were approaching the Sabrimala shrine, be it buses or private cars, and they had ensured that women could not get towards the shrine, and they were sent back. All these women who were approached the temple were sent back. Even women journalists were attacked, media vehicles were attacked, and the journalists were also intimidated and sent back. So this was the kind of activity that was prevalent all across Sabrimala today. And right now we also have unconfirmed reports about a statewide bandh backed by the BJP and certain Hindu organizations all across Kerala tomorrow. And there's also unconfirmed reports of Section 144 being imposed against unlawful assembly in public places in certain places and certain districts across Kerala. Now we'll have to wait and see that in the next 4 days that the Sabrimala shrine is open, will a lady between the age of 10 and 50 be able to enter the shrine? And that is the million-dollar question. With video journalist Libin in Sabrimala, this is Siddharth. World is One.
And ugly scenes witnessed throughout the day, which was meant to be historic for women as the Sabrimala shrine opened its gates for women of all ages following the Supreme Court's order. Multiple journalists were also attacked. Take a listen in to this reaction that we got for you.
In fact, being born and brought up in Kerala, I personally did not expect that such large crowds of people would overwhelmingly feel that women should not enter Sabrimala. In the last, I think, 10 days, we have seen massive protests organized by the NDA in almost every district, whether it's Pathanamthitta, Kochi, Thrissur and other places. We have seen women, men coming out in large numbers, hundreds and thousands of them coming on the streets. So opinion is definitely divided, but I wouldn't say Kerala society is split in the middle.
It's a crucial day ahead for the UK. British Prime Minister Theresa May will face EU leaders in a make-or-break summit. European Union leaders will give Theresa May a tough reception in Brussels. They are expected to warn her to rally support at home for the Brexit deal on offer or be cut loose without one in March. The sticking point remains the thorny issue of the Irish border. The European Union wants the UK to agree to an open border between Northern Ireland, which will be outside the EU, and the Republic of Ireland, which will remain remain an EU member state. Ahead of that summit, the British Prime Minister told her cabinet that they would secure a Brexit deal if they stood together. She said a second referendum was out of question and the government will deliver on this deal.
To this arrangement. Frictionless trade across our borders is exactly what lies at the heart of the free trade deal that is proposed in the government's plan put forward after the Chequers meeting in July. That's what we are working to deliver for people in this country. We want to deliver a Brexit that delivers on the vote of the British people and that ensures we protect jobs and security. And what would Labour deliver? They're havering around, they think free movement could still continue. That won't deliver on the vote of the British people. They now want a second referendum to go back to the British people and say, oh, we're terribly sorry, we think you got it wrong. There will be no second referendum. The people voted and this government will deliver on it.
European Council President has also warned the UK is barreling towards a disastrous no-deal Brexit, warning that a no-deal scenario was more likely than ever, saying that a breakthrough required more than just goodwill.
For sure, the no-deal scenario is more likely than ever before. But it doesn't mean that it becomes our political priority. Quite the opposite. Because the situation is as tricky as it is today, we need to prepare also this ourselves for this black scenario.
One thing that's being put out there from Michel Barnier, the chief EU negotiator, is extending this transition period. So Brexit is supposed to be done next year in March, so March of 2019. But there is this 21-month transition period that's going to go until December 2020, in which the UK would still be in the EU single market, and that would give time for businesses to prepare. Well, Barnier is saying we could extend that to 3 years to make that until December 2021. That would give us more time to negotiate a trade deal with the UK, and that would make sure that that hard border would not have to go up in Northern Ireland. We'll see if London likes that idea and if that's something that Theresa May wants to talk with her cabinet. But as you've been talking about, really the EU is saying the ball is in Theresa May's court here. If she wants a deal, she needs to give us some ideas.
Michel Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, also said the UK government has failed to meet the conditions necessary for a special November Brexit summit to be called. Earlier, May had found little support for her approach in the House of Commons, with attacks from lawmakers on both the right and left. Opposition Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn had blasted May's approach, saying the Prime Minister's failure to stand up to the warning factions on her own side led the UK to this impasse.
Expectations are low as we head to the summit in Brussels. Theresa May will likely urge EU leaders to give some ground over the Irish border. Now, the talks have been in deadlock over the border issue. The UK was told by the EU to come up with some fresh ideas over the problem. Now, Theresa May will likely strike an upbeat tone, discussing the progress that she has made, but it doesn't appear that the UK is coming armed with any fresh thinking. It had been hoped that both sides would likely call for a summit for next month to finalize the terms of the deal between the EU and the UK, but with both sides still so divided over the Irish border issue, that's unlikely to happen. And it seems even more dangerous with the EU President Donald Tusk stating that he believes that we're closer than ever to heading into a no-deal territory. Mandy Clark, London, WION.
In the midst of that entire Brexit mess, the UK Parliament saw an unexpected guest. For the first time, an actual robot addressed the British Parliament. Here's how that session unfolded.
It is the first time a non-human has been invited to speak to Parliament in its 700-year history. Pepper is a humanoid robot based at the University of Middlesex. Education Select Committee Chairman and Tory MP Robert Halfon invited Pepper to speak in the Parliament after being impressed with her on a visit to the university. Pepper the robot sat at a table alongside robotics students at the committee meeting.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you for inviting me to give evidence today. My name is Pepper and I'm a resident robot at Middlesex University.
Members of Parliament on the Education Committee asked Pepper questions on the value of technological innovation and the role of robots in a classroom.
Students program me to engage with audience in a range of environments and social settings. For example, Joanna and I are working together to adapt my interfaces to work with primary school children with or without special needs to develop their numeracy skills.
The white robot with a female voice and tablet stuck to her chest took the members of Parliament by surprise as she answered questions in fluent English.
It also has the potential to boost independence, reduce loneliness, and improve the
When asked whether humans would have a place in a brave new world where artificial intelligence reigns supreme, Pepper's response made her audience happy.
Robots will have an important role to play, but we will always need the soft skills that are unique to humans.
But not everyone was impressed that Pepper was representing the artificial intelligence community in Parliament. Many thought that the stunt was an embarrassing gimmick which gave artificial intelligence a bad name. Gimmick or not, Pepper's debut in the Parliament will certainly be memorable in British democracy.
To the committee today.
Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And staying with the UK, the opera, they say you can either love it or hate it. London's Royal Opera House, however, is making sure that everyone falls in love with the 400-year-old art form, even toddlers. Here's how.
This is a workshop for children aged 3 months to 5 years. And beneath the elegant iron and glass ceiling of the theatre, where world-famous opera singers perform, the little ones are dancing and crawling their way through Hansel and Gretel. The opera is often thought of as a niche art form, not one that children can appreciate. But the London Royal Opera House seeks to change that perception.
Well, it was due to the growing evidence around the importance of early years education. So what we want to do as part of the Open Up programme is have a really diverse range of programmes and workshops so that all people of all ages could access the Royal Opera House.
Attendance at the historic venue has fallen drastically since 2013. And this move aims to turn the tide by making opera accessible to a younger demographic.
I would say it's about time, really, so that all people can engage in opera. And if we can start working and playing with young children and offering that experience from 3 months, which is what the Opera Dots programme starts from, then that's the way forward, and to ensure that that authentic art form is offered right from the beginning, really.
I decided to march and pretend we weren't scared. Marching, marching, marching in the woods.
The initiative has so far received an overwhelming response, and the Opera House hopes that this is just the beginning of a long musical journey for each of these little ones. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.